Go ahead.
I call this meeting of September 14th meeting of the Utility Committee to order. Can we get a approval of the agenda?
I'll make the motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
You, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, the meeting for the approval of last meeting's notes.
I'll make a motion to approve the last meeting's notes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, for the reports, the sewer audit.
Okay, Ashley is gone, so I will cover for her.
Okay.
Let me just share my screen for you guys. So the sewer audit, there's been 4 additional connections since last month's meeting, and so that brings the total up to 208. I know that Ashley is sitting on quite a bit of letters for a couple more confirmations that Marty needs to do, and so there'll be a whole new set of people going through the process. But right now, there's 20 connections pending. You want to go to the water audit,
Yeah,
Counselor?
go right ahead.
Okay, so, whoops, I shouldn't have shut that. Oh no. So I updated the data tracker for the data through the end of July. And that's been sent out in an email. You know, again, just that slight increase in non-revenue water that we've been seeing over the last few years. And you can see the spike in sales, water sales, and total water supplied in our July. So there was quite a bit of water sales in July. I also wanted to go over the conservation report a little bit. If you guys had any questions about it specifically, if you were able to review it at all. I just wanted to point out a couple things. The first one being that we did a new summary evaluation in this year's audit, and it's called a real loss component analysis, which basically helps us decide how to spend money to reduce real losses. It's kind of the first iteration that we've done, so it's not perfect, but it at least gives us some a good thought process on how to spend money. So right now, we're looking at approximately 160 million gallons of hidden losses or unreported leakage running undetected. And so with that, I was able to do some estimates of it's called the rate of rise. And I guess to understand it a little bit, find a So if we look at this graph here, this is a graph of our real losses, and you can see that since 2018, there's been a slight increase in there. And so by calculating a rate of rise of increase in real losses, we tabulated a slope of this increase over time to help us estimate how our unreported leakage would increase each year based on our infrastructure condition. And so because we haven't done proactive leak detection, we were actually able to do this calculation, have that estimate for our infrastructure. So using that data and some data to previous cost analysis or previous cost of a leak detection service that we did in 2016. Sorry, this is probably not the best way to present this. Okay, there we go. So by using those in the calculation, we were able to estimate that based on our background hidden leakage, we could potentially recover 115 million gallons per year by developing a proactive leak detection system. And so if we survey about 20% of our total system per year with a annual estimated budget of $31,000, we could potentially recover this amount of leakage. And if we look at the estimated value of this water per year, it's about $80,000. So by implementing a proactive leak detection program, we might actually gain an extra $50,000 in reduced variable costs for producing water. And then there was some analysis on the awareness, location, and repair times. And Adam and I talked a little bit about it, but we're going to make sure that we get the information reported in work order so we know when leaks are reported and how long it takes to respond to them. Because the other component of this analysis is determine if like a break point where, you know, it might change how we utilize overtime or staffing rates if we're not responding to reported failures fast enough. Does anyone have any specific questions about the report?
Hey, Eric, first of all, let me tell you, that's a real piece of work because you did a really, really great job with that. And I went over it and over it and over it. I think the only way to look at it is you really have to spend a lot of in-depth time and try to understand the different analysis that you're running there. And I really do think it'll pay off on, I know on the non-revenue water, on the unreported, that it's always been really, it's tough for all systems. I mean, AWWA talks about that in depth, but so if you run zero usage meters, and I'm sure you've already run that, what kind of numbers are you coming up with in the system?
Oh, for the number of no use meters?
Yeah.
So we've got that data, but are you asking in terms of meters that aren't working or in regard to vacancy?
You know, when we got a computer and we were able to do some of that, we discovered we were losing 1% of our meters per month. And we had a meter replacement program, and we bought the new Rockwell meters, and we had a whole bunch of old Cowan meters and a bunch of different ones. And we used to do our own meter repair, but it was, say, if you look at all the usage in all the meters in August, and that's what we did, I think July and August, typically someone sometime during that month should have probably been there. And we found we found we were losing about 1% of the meters, even with our meter replacement program. But then, you know, I think you've nailed it down. You've got your backwash water, you've got a lot of those things accounted for. So other than leaks, and then I read your part in there about the leak detection and all the things that you guys have been doing. And great job on all that sort of thing. But I guess my question is, do you think that the water loss would be in non-working meters or basically undetected leakage?
Well, they run a report twice a day here at Village Hall. And for the last, I mean, we've had some 99.9 days, but all the meters have been reading, I mean, we've been getting 100%.
Really?
Yes.
Good.
So
That's,
and we've had a couple of them that have gone down, and we went and gotten replaced right away. But
yeah,
the meter has been keeping them running at 100%.
well, that's good. So I guess,
But it is a good point, Frank, that, you know, I do have that. I could do that analysis to look at what is the number of meters that are reading a no read per month, and we could establish some type of baseline month, like you're saying, August or July or something, where you can make an assumption that most houses would use a little bit of water. And maybe that can be something for us to have, you know, say the meter readers go out, check when it's a slower season, like October, go check those meters and make sure that, yeah, they are actually working.
Hey, Eric, Jeremy already has that data if you need it.
The no flow.
Yeah.
good.
Yes, he does.
You know, the only other thing that comes to my mind is we always kind of accepted, like, I'm not telling Adam anything here probably, but like Black Forest, Ruidoso Springs, right in the middle of town. You know, we have some water that runs, and it has as far as I can remember. But man, it makes you wonder.
It does. It does.
I mean, and I happen to know, I think that main line was put in 1952 right there in the middle of town, and it's deep. I remember one time having to dig that thing, and so, you know, I just don't trust all that right through there.
And we've done leak detection in that area.
Yeah.
But I mean, there was one spot that they actually did find, you know, that they heard some noise there.
Yeah.
And we, like I said, it was deep. So we dug it all up, and it ended up being just a collar there that,
Yeah.
you know, we're getting noise from the main.
Well, I'll tell you, your report's great. And I'll tell you what, the state engineer's office and everybody that's concerned with water, what we're doing on water conservation, they ought to flip out over this one. That's a good job. Thanks.
And so I think some of the big, I think kind of to summarize the big takeaways from this is Adam and I need to get together and actually start a leak detection program. You know, we did before COVID hit. You know, Adam had some vendors scheduled to demonstrate some of the leak detection equipment that we were looking at purchasing, and that had to get canceled. And so picking up that process and possibly even having those vendors have an extended training period with our staff so that we can try to get at a minimum 20% of our town surveyed, and then start surveying 20% every year. So everything's on a 5-year rotation at a minimum. And we can demonstrate those explicit cost savings. The other thing too is to kind of pick up the process on strategic water line replacements. And you know, we're trying to utilize these projects, leverage these funds that we're getting in for grant opportunities. And hopefully we'll hear some good news about the CDBG application here shortly. But then also we're trying to package the Paradise Canyon and Pine Cliff projects that are already designed for a Water Smart grant application that's due here on Thursday. That could potentially pay upwards of 50% of the total project cost. So if we for some reason get that, that would be a grant of almost $1.7 million to the village. So we'll keep looking for these strategic funding opportunities and look at maximizing the benefit, the best bang for our bucks for water conservation program. Anyone else have any other questions on the water conservation report?
Yeah, Eric, at one time we talked about with your large meters, we are gonna be able to meter it coming out of the tanks going into subdivisions. Did that ever happen? And helping?
What's happening is a lot of times the tanks, the flows out of the tank are not going out fast enough to accurately meter. And so only some of those meters are working appropriately. The other issue that we've seen with them is we're having significant implications and complications from lightning is messing up a lot of the circuitry. So what I was hoping to do in the is next year is to budget for a master plan update that, in addition to what a master plan would normally do, also put special emphasis to district metered areas. So looking at those meters that we already installed, and then looking at the potential for some meter substitutes actually at good system in place. And then also to conduct some pressure optimization and see if some capital that we could do to reduce the pressures or possibly optimize PRD pressures.
Are both of them on?
Eric?
Yep.
There you go. We got you back.
Okay, after I went on my whole big rant. Oh, okay, so about the district metered areas. So we're having some complications with the insertion meters that we put at tanks just because of the low flows that we're noticing out of some of the tanks. It's not flowing fast enough to do accurately register those. So this next budget year, I'm going to propose for a master plan update that, in addition to what a master plan regularly does, it will look at helping us establish some of these district metered areas and either take the meters that we've installed in some locations and move them in other places, or improve how we're doing those district metered areas. So that is another big goal of our conservation program, is setting up those district metered areas.
Okay. The next one's yours too.
So asset management, we finally talked. So I've been talking with Heather Himmelberger with the Southwest Environmental Finance Center. They were the ones that were going to be contracting with NMED to finish our asset management. Their contract as a whole had expired at the beginning of the year, and NMED has kind of ended up dragging their feet on this process. And then at the kind of onset of COVID, their contract department has only emphasized COVID-related contract renewals. And so they're finally starting to set up new contracts. However, there's a huge backlog, and they're not going to be able to get under contract for several months. And so I wanted to ask the utility committee, we're looking at just contracting directly with the Southwest Environmental Finance Center to keep this process moving so that we can try to apply for this year's Water Trust Board application. I don't think it's going to be terribly expensive. I'm guessing it will probably be between $20,000 and $30,000 to finish it up, but they're preparing that. I just kind of wanted to get your guys' thoughts on us finding those funds and spending them so that we can try to apply for the Water Trust Board.
Does that work?
Might be the best way to do it. I agree.
And you know, maybe we can phrase the contract so that if their NMED contract picks up, we just spend the time and materials up to that point, and then NMED picks it up the rest of the way. But you know, it's really unfortunate. I just really don't want to start with another group because we've been working on asset management my entire time being employed for the village and still don't have a plan done.
That sounds like a good plan, Eric.
Okay, I will work with the Southwest Environmental Finance Center to prepare a scope, and we'll get a small services contract for Tim to sign.
Okay.
And Eric, are they stopping you from applying with the Water Trust Board? Because, you know, as long as you show that there's progress, you know, Angela will give us a waiver to move forward.
You know, we can do a waiver on that. Have we already?
I think the biggest problem is that we got the waiver for the Grindstone Dam liner that happened 5 years ago, and based on the Water Trust Board progress, we've kind of maxed out where we should be. We should have a plan in hand based on the Water Trust Board steps. But I think that by having the plan completed by the readiness timeframe in December, we should be, I think, okay for this.
Eric, we could also, the same letter that Karen Torres provided for the CDBG that would work also.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think we just need to get it done.
Yes. No, I agree. We need to get it completed.
Well, and it's also something that's, you know, for us to do a real good rate budget analysis, you know, we need to have an asset management plan in hand and that master plan. And to do the master plan, we really should have this asset management plan done. So it's really just holding up a whole lot of things.
Right.
Okay, I'll work on that.
You got anything on the work order system?
Just that, at least for the water utility, Ashley and I are going to be looking over the quality of work orders submitted and make sure that we're collecting all the data we need for long-term data analysis.
Okay. Okay, the Alta Reservoir improvements.
So last week we got our boat out on the reservoir. It was a nice foggy day, but they were able to locate the sample locations to test for water quality. So those are getting ready to submit. The hold time for those samples is I think 60 days. So there's not a rush to get them in, but they're being taken to Albuquerque right now. And then, Randy, do you know, has Jan been able to work on that exploratory dig yet by Brewer's Gas?
No, I think he's trying to schedule that this week. I know he tied up last week with a bunch of items.
Okay, so once we get that exploratory dig done and find these valves going to the water line that went to treatment plant 2, then we can start developing the pressure test evaluation criteria, and we'll pressure test the old line and see what condition it's in.
Okay, if that's all on that one, go to the underground storage and recovery.
Okay. So Roger Puri and I went out 2 weeks ago and we did a site visit to all of the wells being evaluated for the pilot project and looked at availability of public land for drilling monitoring wells, and then also suitability of private land that we would have to secure some type of easement to drill a monitor well. But I think we found some good locations for each one of the wells we're evaluating. The assessment's nearly finished. All that we're doing is waiting for the evaluation from Moles and Corbin when they're evaluating our distribution water model to determine if we actually have the flows that we need to do the tests and the injections without impacting fire flows or distribution. So we should be complete with the assessment hopefully by the end of the month.
Okay. Town and country water and sewer rehab and replacement. Is that the
Go ahead.
Is that the CDBG?
That's the CDBG grant, yes. The engineering is 100%. They said it was sent to the Water Trust Board. I believe, Tim, you guys had the meeting with Water Trust Board last week or week before?
Yeah, the CDBG council,
Yes.
and the awards are actually happening on the 17th. Ron and I spoke to Scott earlier, and our application has scored very well by staff. So, when we had the hearings, I basically did the presentation on the project. They didn't have any questions. Other communities, they were, asking them all kinds of questions, and majority of them weren't even ready to go to construction. So I'm anticipating that we should get fully.
Right. You won't have to go out and unclog that 4-inch line now.
Sometimes those, and Frank probably knows this, those committees can get a little bit political. And that's the only thing I'm kind of worried about. One of the council members made a comment and asked us, and it was a capacity issue. And she turned around and said, we as a council try to build capacity in communities. So when you have a community that has the capacity both financially and technically to get projects done, sometimes that works against you because those people are trying to help out the other communities that aren't, in my opinion, aren't helping themselves.
Yeah,
That's what I was fixated. They're not trying to help themselves. We're trying to actually get something done.
They're there with a handout all the time and trying to get a handout and not willing to help themselves. So that's one of the things that I kind of explained is this community is prepared. The community is leveraging geo bonds where others haven't. They've done their rate analysis. We're doing everything we should be doing. But sometimes when you have that capacity, that works against you. You don't need help. You guys are helping yourself. You don't need help.
yeah,
We'll know on Thursday, so we're excited about that, so.
that's the
Hopefully we'll do well.
17th. Yeah, yeah.
When you have it together, it's hard for them to say no. You have everything that they're asking for.
Where do they have those two? Santa Fe?
They're gonna be meeting in Santa Fe, but they're virtual meetings.
Do they inform you on that day?
Yeah, we already did the presentation, so
Yeah. I knew,
this meeting will be the awards meeting.
well, that's good. Well, done your best.
Yeah,
You guys you've been racking them up pretty good.
yeah.
You've been doing better and pretty darn good, I'll tell you.
We're probably about due for another rate study. I think 6 years ago or so.
Close to that, 2014, I believe, right, February, right before the election, I believe we did a.
Yeah, because I wasn't on it yet.
I'll tell you what, if Congress doesn't bail New Mexico out, we're doomed anyway. Santa Fe is not even gonna exist.
Well, at least we got our $3 million before they went down.
I know, yeah. I mean, that's the only money they got really is what and thank goodness I can't believe you guys did great with that deal.
Well, they were ready for it again.
Yeah, well, you've been prepared and that's the main thing, boy.
So if we get that grant, are we ready to go to bid pretty quick?
Mhm.
Okay, this is your meeting, I think, Eric, but, stormwater management at Horton.
So no significant updates this month, but Chris had a lot of projects in construction that have wrapped up, so he is dedicating himself to this design. So hopefully we should have something here shortly.
Okay, good. Okay, you get a turn.
I get a turn finally?
Yeah, the RTA new shop
Yeah.
building.
Okay, Wilson and Company is doing the site plan for the new shop building. They've done the geotech and the survey, and we did put a hold on them again for the Walker building. So I guess we're waiting to hear from some little hiccups in that building and see if we can actually buy that building. So, yeah, I mean, that would be if we can, that would be the way to go, because there's already a side built building there. We'd have to do some addition to it, but I think that's gonna save us a bunch of money if we can actually go that route.
And then you can deal with that other council instead of us.
Yeah.
Where's that at? Good luck.
As soon as you cross Close Road Bridge, solid waste is on the left-hand side, and there's a new building on the right-hand side there.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just, there's not any electric or anything to it, no utilities or anything like that, but I mean, it's a built building, it's insulated, the slab's down.
Wow.
We'd have to add on to it a little bit, but I mean, for what the appraisal came in at it, I mean, you can't beat it.
Right.
And it's done. There may be hope for you yet.
Yeah, there'll be some site development on it and stuff like that,
Yeah.
but I mean, that's gonna be we've already got there's already shovel on the ground on that one.
That's good.
Okay, the Grindstone Dam projects.
Okay, task order number 2 is completed. The report is all finished. That's for measuring the deflection inside the dam deflection. And task order number 3 was for the actual surveying inside of the gallery. Started on the 8th, which was last Tuesday. And we are in the dam drain or dam gallery for 3 days. So everything's completed with the survey. And then now what they're gonna do is work on putting a report together and analyzing everything. So after this, they'll assess the project efficiencies, evaluate drain cleaning alternatives, prepare technical specs and documents, and then we'll go out for advertisement and procurement of contract services, and then they'll provide project management. So it's moving pretty quick now.
Good. Okay.
Any questions?
No? All right, Eagle Creek and Gavilan Canyon well field.
Okay, so this is the phase 2 for Fault and Brownwell. We have the 60% design in hand, and we have a scheduled review with staff on the 22nd, and then a meeting with Moles and Corbin on the 23rd to go over the staff's comments. So on track for this. This is the project that I'll be applying for the Water Trust Board application for, because it should be shovel ready by the readiness period. And we have a planning document showing this phase 2 in it. So I think it was the best active project that we got to apply for the Water Trust Board.
Right. Karen, the hazard mitigation and stabilization and lift station and force main, all the sewer stuff.
Good afternoon. The report I have on that is, FEMA EHP, the Environmental Hazard, Historical Preservation Office delivered package 2, which was the package, determination of effect. They delivered that package to, SHPO, which is the State Historic Preservation Office, on the 9th. So given that, they have the 15-day review period has started. And if they don't have any comments or see any issues with the package, then I'm hoping on or before the 24th, that's when their 15-day review period would end, we will have some kind of notification of acceptance from them, which will then trigger the process to get the EA rolling. So that's a big milestone on their behalf. So that's what we're looking at right now. As the 24th is the big day for us.
Karen, what do you mean by get the EA rolling?
Well, the approval processes. Once the State Historic Preservation Office issues their acceptance, then the EHP can work together with the Army Corps of Engineers to get the permits approvals, and then the EA hopefully approved to get that FONSI.
So those boys ought to be able to play in the river by winter, huh?
We're hoping, and we've been giving SAK, the contractor for the restoration phase, we've been giving them weekly updates so that they know what to anticipate. So we're hoping that we can get something rolling here in October.
Hey Karen, what did Greg say? I don't have the email in front of me about the with the 15-day review period. They can didn't he say something about extending it if they had some kind of question or something like that? And sent in?
Yes, if the State Historic Preservation Office has any questions or comments, then that 15-day period will get extended. If they find no adverse effects, then we move on. That's the opinion that we're looking for.
Karen, the last time we talked, you said that we're waiting for SHPO, and now you're saying that they only delivered the second set of documents.
Yes, sir, that is correct. I was under the impression we had gotten an update from FEMA that that package was delivered, and then we found out, in fact, that it wasn't. It had never been delivered, package 2. So that package just now, I guess they had been trying for a week or so to get in contact with them to set up something, and trying to get in contact with them. And I don't know that. Are you guys hearing me?
Yeah, go over a little bit more. It broke up, Karen.
Yes, Tim, you're correct. I did report that package 2 was delivered because that's what was reported to us, but we found out otherwise. The package was not delivered until September 9th.
So when did we find out otherwise?
Maybe getting feedback.
Karen,
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
when did we find out otherwise?
Excuse me?
When did we find out otherwise?
On Thursday, the Bible Complete call. Alan came on from FEMA EHP and notified us that the package was delivered and that they received confirmation that they received it.
So I don't understand what the holdup was. They were supposed to have ready, the schedule that you guys keep saying everybody's on. They're supposed to be making that determination and completing everything by this month so that they can issue a FONSI, now in September. So now you're telling us that they're weeks behind. Where did the ball fall behind? Who dropped the ball?
Apparently, FEMA was having problems getting in contact with the SHPO office. They were not accepting any phone calls or meeting requests. So that's when FEMA EHP reached out to their regional officer. And I'm not sure if that had any influence on them responding, but at that point, package 2 was delivered.
Well, I think we need to make documentation of that and let them know that we would appreciate no extensions be given since they've already complicated and pushed us back a couple of weeks. You know, that they
We can do that.
They need to be held to that 15 days. You know, if they're holding us up on their end, you know, they need to start giving us some consideration and move this stuff forward.
Yes, sir. We can get some document sent out to them requesting that they give us response within the 15 days.
Well, I think it's not just, I think we need to state that since they've already held us up and didn't accept the package timely, that it's held up contractors and time, and that we would, you know, request that no extensions be given past the 15 days.
Okay.
And that was one of the things that got brought up also, is they asked Judy in that meeting, you know, how is financially, how is the village doing with with this project? And basically Judy said, well, you guys stopped the project, so we haven't spent anything. And that's one of the things I piped up. I said, well, actually it hasn't been a financial impact on us because we're having to pay this contractor that's,
Yeah, the contractor is gonna have claims.
yes.
Mhm.
You know, so there is a financial impact. And, you know. But they stated that there wasn't.
No, well, Judy said that, as far as financials up to date right now, we haven't really paid anything out because we haven't done any work. But on the back end, it is financially impacting us because we're getting the financial impact from the contractor that's on hold.
Yeah, he's gonna charge us remobilization and
Exactly.
more. I think we ought to document all that stuff, so maybe we can get reimbursed for stuff they normally wouldn't do.
Mhm.
All right, Karen, how about the lift stations and force mains? Karen,
You guys are breaking up on my side really bad. Where are we at?
Lift stations and force mains.
Okay, that's the same, that'll be the same update for the hazard mitigation, lift stations and the restoration. We're just waiting on the EA.
okay. And construction of the Alto Crust treatment plant. Randy?
Okay, basically, they're still working on the outside siding and, they're working on the chlorine storage, building foundation. And then they're also working on the dock lift foundation and the ADA access ramp. The 30-day look ahead is, they're working on submittal approvals, and they're still working on the siding, or gonna be working on the siding. They're gonna be working on getting the stucco subcontractor mobilized, and they'll still be working on the storage building foundation and the retrofit on the roof. I know they had some days where it was raining and foggy, so it seemed like it slowed them down just a little bit, but not too bad. So other than that, the project is moving along pretty quick. I know Current Electric was out on site today working on some of the electrical stuff. So it's moving pretty good.
Well, good. Okay, Apple Orchard, Middle Gavel, and well improvements.
Katie, myself, and Karen, we're working on a change order for the project because of some of the delays from Ironmark Utility, and then also the Verizon cell phone tower that was being built at Middle Gavelin. We're looking at a 35-day extension of time and a modest increase in price. I think it ends up being like a $600 increase in price for having to move around one of our marked utilities So we're looking at bringing that to the October regular council meeting.
You wanna put added in there.
Okay. Restoration of existing sewer lines and manholes.
And that one's gonna be kind of the same one. That's actually with SAK.
Okay. Thanks,
Skipped over the country club tank there.
Oh, okay.
Counselor.
Go ahead, Randy.
Okay, the country club tank was refilled, and I switched it over on Friday afternoon. And Jerry, Mike from File Construction, guy from Geotest, and Manuel and myself met on Friday morning. We looked at some of the issues on the pond, and we kind of went over the project. So we have a pretty good game plan, what to do on the small issues with the pond. And Landmark's on site today evaluating the tank. Evidently, there's still a couple little leaks on the bottom, which he believes he should be able to take care of from the outside. So we're still fighting a little bit of a battle on that, but substantial completion is, we're gonna meet on Friday on site. So other than that, everything's going okay.
Well, if they try to fix that from the outside, what kind of
Yeah.
what kind of
Oh,
warranty will we have on that?
Well, what they're doing is there's a few bolts that are located on the bottom of the tank that they're actually gonna take off and then add some more sealant on the inside. And he's talking about fabricating a plate and putting it up, on the inside of the tank on the bottom and on the outside. So he's gonna evaluate it today, and then we're gonna meet over in the morning and to see if that's a viable option. But a couple of them aren't too bad. They're just a few drips, but there's one that's a little bit of a good leak. So.
Well, they never get any better, so it'd be nice to get them fixed.
I agree.
Oh, what was that, John?
So they never
It's hard
get
to-
any better, so it'd be nice to get them fixed now while he's here.
Oh, yeah. Well, they're putting in a lot of effort to make sure everything's right, and it's gonna be a good project. Tank, everything's coming out pretty good, but of course, on these small construction projects, you do have issues that come up, but we are gonna have them all solved.
Okay, how about the Alto 2 well improvements?
Right, so we're nearing completion, a substantial completion for the project. The contractor's preparing to do a pressure test on the new line to make sure it's watertight. We had KD Healy Company out last Friday. They did a video of the well, and during the washover, there was no significant damage to the casing, so that's really good news. And they should be looking at installing the pump and motor setup probably starting on this Friday, and they'll likely work over the weekend, but it's going to put it a little bit close for substantial completion on the 23rd.
Where's that well? Was that down there on the corner?
Okay, and
Or is it Purdue?
Hemlock Circle Phase 2,
Is that one that we
do
drew?
they get done with that?
Yeah, Hemlock Circle Phase 2, it's
Mhm.
construction's complete, road's been paved, water line is operational. one of the reasons this is on here is we're waiting on the deliverables from them, the GIS data points. Moles and Corbin did receive them last week, and they were reviewing them, so we should have everything in the basket this week.
All right, Greenwell.
No substantial updates, but we're starting the project on the 28th. So in 2 weeks.
Okay,
They
good.
did that well.
And the last one's yours too, I think, Main Road Bridge.
Yeah, so everything's done. We're working on, we need some more documents from Ryan Roper, Karen does, and then I'm just working on the closeout report. So, but the project's done. The substantial completion's done.
How can that be? We never finish anything. Well, great. So does anybody have anything else?
Well, I'll bring up one thing, the sewer line on, in Pine Cliff, the Mockingbird sewer line extension is complete. We're waiting on the road to be paved. We did get, I believe, 8 people tied in so far, and we're waiting on a couple other people to tie in. And then, yeah.
Good. Yeah, there's some people up there that want on sewer.
Oh, yeah.
Phew.
And that's gonna be one of our CDBG things we're gonna go for this next time, because we've already got the water line engineered, so it's on the shelf.
That's good.
Mhm. Is it just gonna be water? You can get sewer? at the
Water,
same
and we're
time?
gonna hoping to do the CDBG grant for the sewer line
Good.
and do water and sewer at the same time.
All right, anything else? Buddy?
I think that's it.
All right, I think we're adjourned. Oh, we need to set another meeting. Karen, you there? Karen Cook. She muted.
She'll set one, huh?
I don't know if she has a microphone.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay.
Hello?
Yeah, for the October 5th. Will be the next one then. All right. Thank you. We're done.
Thank you, guys.
Very good. Yeah, Tom drilled that well.